Are you ready for Hallmark's Christmas in July? It's here, and in honor of that annual tradition, I wanted to share some of my favorites over the last few years. This one's going to be a little more fast-paced, so let's dive right in and get to it. Hi, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to the Magical Movie Club, where, like you, I love to watch and chat about Hallmark Christmas movies. Now, I've been giving this a lot of thought as I've been logging them onto a spreadsheet, and I'm trying to rank all of my favorites. Of course, there are still so many movies that I haven't seen yet, but I have seen quite a lot, and my list of favorites is getting too long to just be a top 10 list. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got about 24 or so on my list at the moment. I'd like to save my top 10 or maybe 12 for sometime after July to get ready for the official Hallmark Christmas season. But the others on my list are definitely worth talking about. I'll get to just a few at a time, so we'll be speeding this up a bit, and this one will be a series as we celebrate Christmas in July. Are you ready? Let's get started. A Royal Christmas, starring Lacey Chabert and Stephen Hagen. A Royal Christmas is 10 years old this year. How is that even possible? Before I begin, I can understand it if a lot of people feel that Christmas movies involving royalty have been overdone by Hallmark. But A Royal Christmas is one of the original ones that started it all. To give you an idea of just how popular it is, I've found that the average non-seasonal Hallmark movie receives a few hundred ratings on IMDb. This one has over 5,000, and it stars Lacey Chabert. Love her or not, I think there's no denying in the last decade, her name has become synonymous with Hallmark Christmas movies. This movie, I believe, is one of her best, and here's why. A Royal Christmas starts out with our main characters, Emily and Leo, already in love.
I think I'm in love with you.
Well, you might as well just come in then.
They've been dating for nearly a year in Emily's hometown of South Philadelphia, and they seem blissfully happy together. What Emily doesn't know yet is that Leo is actually Prince Leopold. He's from a small sovereign nation in the south of France called Cordinia.
What?
And Jane Seymour plays his stern, most disapproving mother, Queen Isadora. I loved Jane Seymour in this. Prince Leopold hadn't even told his mother about Emily all this time. But that all changed when the Queen demanded that he come home in time for Christmas.
I feel that I don't know him anymore, and he's bringing home a girl.
An American?
Yes.
So when he revealed his secret to Emily, yeah, she was shocked, but she was pretty open-minded about it too. The Queen, on the other hand, no.
She's my girlfriend.
She was having none of it. She was so disapproving that when Leo brought Emily back home with him to spend Christmas in Cordinia, she was relentless in trying to intimidate and insult Emily in hopes that she would just go away.
Everyone has faults, dear, some more than others.
You see, the Queen wanted Leo to marry her personal favorite, the Duchess Natasha.
You were supposed to get an education, come back here and marry Natasha.
What I liked about this movie is Lacey Chabert played the role of Emily with just the right amount of American naivety in not knowing exactly how to handle certain situations in Cordinia's royal palace. For example, proper greetings.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you, Mrs.
Table etiquette. Or proper attire for different situations.
Should I change my clothes?
As if that would help.
Which is kind of interesting because she's an aspiring fashion designer. For the most part, her inexperience was kind of sweet and charming. And yes, at one point in the movie, she did finally give up because she was very much a fish out of water in Cordinia. And she lost faith that she and Leo would ever be happy together.
Your future is here. It's not with me.
She ended up going back home to her dad's tailor shop in Philadelphia, but that wasn't the end of the story.
Nice knowing you guys.
Little did she know that by the very end, the Queen had finally softened. It's actually because she loved her son more than this particular royal tradition.
If I have to choose between being Prince Leopold and being with you, I choose you. Every time.
But there were some moments I didn't care for, like when she got up in the middle of the night, she was roaming the castle looking for the kitchen because she was hungry. For one, who would do that as a guest in this huge royal palace? And also, who would start picking up things and playing with them without permission?
Look at this sword. May I borrow your sword, kind sir? What's that? You want a duel?
I thought Emily had a bit of a lapse of judgment here, but fortunately, that wasn't enough to ruin the whole movie for me. The supporting characters helped with that. They can often have a big impact on the overall feel of a movie. For example, Victor the butler, loved him.
Hello, Grand Duke.
That's quite a grip. Wasn't a compliment.
He understood and respected royal European standards and protocol, and at the same time, he was patient and understanding, and he had a heart of gold.
Now, the curts. Watch me.
Plus, Emily had her own lady's maid to assist her while she was there. Olivia was super sweet herself.
You're different than most of the ones that visited here.
Is that a good thing?
Oh, yes.
She was a bit shy and uncomfortable around Emily, just as Emily was in having a lady's maid. But over the course of the movie, even they bonded. Actually, Emily won over all of the staff. Just maybe not the queen herself.
I speak for the entire staff, and for those who are no longer part of the staff, when I say that it has been a true pleasure to serve you.
I love to see how characters develop in these movies, and this one was a little different because it wasn't Emily or Leo who changed much. This time it was the queen herself.
Prince Leopold is in love, not with the Duchess, but with a clothes designer.
Christmas Under Wraps, starring Candace Cameron Bure and David O'Donnell. Christmas Under Wraps is so enjoyable for me because our lead character, Lauren, seems to have everything in her life all planned out perfectly.
I knew before I even applied to med school that I'd follow in his footsteps.
What if you don't get in?
Well, that's just not part of the plan.
She's following in her father's footsteps to become a prominent surgeon. She's got what she thinks is the perfect boyfriend, but she soon finds out life doesn't always work out according to plan. And when things fall apart, she really stumbles to get back on track.
Yeah, I'm great. Everything I've worked for my entire life is gone.
At least that's what she thinks she's trying to do. Her boyfriend breaks up with her.
You plan everything.
I don't plan everything.
And then on that very same night, her prestigious fellowship at the Charlestown Memorial in Boston falls through.
You were edged out at the last minute, sweetheart, by another candidate.
What?
Of course, she didn't have any backup plans. She was convinced it was all going to work out according to plan. So she had to scramble to find any open fellowships to take at the last minute. Reluctantly, she agrees to take the only one remaining that's still available.
That's strange. There is one open fellowship slot after all.
It happens to be in a small, very remote town, which no one has ever heard of. And there are no roads to even get there.
Garland, Alaska?
It's adjacent to Anchorage. You'd be running the whole program, so...
Lauren's character development was fun to watch.
I can make this work.
Like when she traded in her fancy high-heeled shoes and silk scarves.
It's a pashmina.
For boots, flannel shirts, and jeans lined with sweatpant materials.
Best of both worlds, if you ask me.
Also, we can't ignore the underlying mystery of Garland's very own Holiday family. Literally, Holiday was their last name.
Ooh, dinner with the Holidays. You must be doing something right. Come on, let's find this girl something to wear.
For example, Holiday Shipping was clearly more than just your typical average shipping company. It was a huge industry.
And what is that? It's not small.
That is Holiday Shipping. Provides a lot of jobs in town.
And it was owned by Frank Holiday, played by Brian Doyle Murray, complete with a white beard and mustache.
Frank Holiday, President and CEO of Holiday Shipping.
Holiday, of course.
Frank Holiday had some health issues and was constantly worrying about whether or not he'd be healthy enough to work on Christmas Eve. his busiest night of the year.
I know I've said it all before, but tonight is my busiest time.
Christmas Eve?
Yes.
Also, when Lauren was invited to have dinner one night at the Holidays' home, she noticed a green blur run by who accidentally dropped what looked like an elf's hat in the snow. Lauren was also asked once to tend to their injured caribou, also known as a reindeer.
This is Rudy. This is Rudy, a reindeer.
Who was needed on Christmas Eve for the big festival. No matter how many questions she had, there were always logical answers, but the questions still lingered. The supporting cast was also wonderful, like Hattie, who owned the town's diner.
One size, cream, good old white sugar, and I could probably rustle up some whole milk and honey in the back.
She couldn't have been sweeter, and she went out of her way to make Lauren feel as welcomed and as comfortable up in this ice-cold town as possible.
You got a big day in front of you.
I do?
Oh, yeah, and if you want lunch delivered, just have Billy give me a call.
And of course there was Billy, the head nurse who ran the Garland General Hospital. Lauren had only ever seen big city hospitals before, like the one she came from in San Francisco, so she was shocked to walk into this tiny little clinic.
Hello? Dr. Lauren Brunel from San Francisco?
Over the course of the movie, the town itself grew on her. She was constantly shocked by how quickly news spread.
Good morning, Dr. Brunel.
Morning.
Or how flowers were delivered to the clinic maybe 10 minutes after she admitted a patient overnight.
This is a get well bouquet for Mrs. Alvarez.
Mrs. Alvarez, who I just admitted 10 minutes ago?
She also continued to ask questions about all those little town secrets, the biggest one being what was the real purpose of that great big shipping warehouse situated in this remote, secluded northern town.
It's a toy-making tool.
A toy-making tool? You make toys at a shipping company?
By the end of the movie, she couldn't resist staying in this charming little town. The main reason of all was Andy Holliday, Frank's son.
My dad's mysterious shipping business, the employees sneaking around, the sleigh, Rudy.
Who was by her side the entire time, and who would someday inherit the Holliday family business.
That's Garland for you.
Christmas by Starlight, starring Kimberly Sustad and Paul Campbell. Christmas by Starlight was another fun one to watch, but you might not quite know it immediately from the start. And that's because in the opening scenes, we see Annie is a family law attorney finalizing an adoption of a little girl at Christmas time to a very happy, childless couple.
Your application for the legal adoption of Allison Jean Brenner has been approved.
We soon find out that Annie had been an orphan herself, adopted by her parents when she was 4, and that's why she's so passionate about doing the same for others. Nothing fun or whimsical yet, right? Well, that changes when we see her dancing around, singing with her dog in her pajamas in her apartment when her parents walk in and surprise her. Speaking of her parents, they've been running a family cafe that's been famous in their community for their amazing waffles for many, many years. Annie says she practically grew up there. Well, she finds out that the landlord has decided not to renew her parents' lease after the new year.
When were you going to tell me about this?
We wanted to wait until after the holidays.
Apparently the owners, Holt Enterprises, have wanted to tear down the building to redevelop it for years, and now they've made up their mind to do it. Well, Annie's very upset by this news, and she's determined to fight.
Holt Enterprises? You have picked a fight with the wrong family.
Meanwhile, over at Holt Enterprises, William, the owner's son, is running around his office bouncing a basketball while his personal assistant is trying to go over his daily itinerary with him.
I've already pushed that once, so I think we should really make sure that
Clearly, William is not interested. But that's when his father walks in to tell him how disappointed he is by his son's lack of effort.
Dad, looking sharp. New haircut?
No.
You missed the investor meeting for the waterfront proposal on Friday.
And it actually gets worse. His dad tells him about something that happened in his most recent development deal that's now landed the company in a lawsuit.
Will, we faced 2 lawsuits this year because of your carelessness, and now there's this complaint from the Preservation Society.
It turns out he removed a 400-year-old bonsai tree to build a parking lot over the land.
That bonsai tree was a gift from the Japanese Prime Minister as a symbol of peace after the war.
Ouch. His father informs him that he's going to assign general counsel, an attorney, to be by his side for the foreseeable future to help avoid any more costly legal oversights.
So you're hiring me a babysitter?
No, of course not. I'm expecting you to.
But here's the catch, and this is the key to why this works. The legal candidates are waiting outside for William to select the one that he wants to shadow him. His father doesn't actually know who he's going to pick. Enter Annie.
Mr. Holt!
Grabbing a coffee, I'll send a postcard.
Mr. Holt!
Remember, she's a family law attorney all upset and ready to fight Holt Enterprises. Well, William mistakes her for one of the, what did he call him, hotshot lawyers hired by his dad?
I'm Annie Park.
I know what you are. Fine. Let's get this over with.
Get what over with?
I really enjoyed the bantering between these two in the scene when they were clearly talking about 2 entirely different things and didn't know it.
Community, if you take it away, there will be a revolt.
Wow. There's a lot of words.
In another comedic turn, William suggests Annie work for him and pretend to be his attorney just to appease his dad.
This is Allie.
Annie.
In return, he promises her that he will not tear down the cafe.
Actually, I wasn't going to pay you anything.
Then why would I do it?
Because you need my help saving your little bakery or...
Cafe?
Even better. I love coffee.
Well, I love the creativity of the story because it gets even better. Annie shows up with him at that meeting with the Preservation Society, you know, the one to discuss the matter of the bonsai tree. Now, his father's goal is for him to find a way to make them happy without costing the company too much money. William tries to schmooze him over, but every time he opens his mouth, he just makes things worse.
You're upset. Understandably, and I apologize. But let's be honest, 400 years is a pretty decent life.
That's when Annie decides to take over. Annie tells him that William is hosting a fundraising gala where all of the proceeds will go directly to their foundation.
And Holt Enterprises is going to match those donations dollar for dollar.
It's a brilliant solution.
The lawsuit goes away at relatively little cost, and the press eats it up.
And that's where the fun begins, because Annie and William are now stuck working together to pull off this fundraising project with very little time.
Actually, Will, no, I think I'd like you on this personally.
And with polar opposite personalities, it's a piece of cake, right?
I have no idea how to plan a fundraiser.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be running around handing them out like party favors.
Deal.
Annie is determined to make this work, and William, well, he's perfectly happy letting Annie do all the work, even though his father insisted that he handle this personally.
What are we missing?
I don't know. Kind of hard to see with a giant tree in the way.
Oh, relax.
What I loved about this movie was the evolution of both of their characters. Something awful happened to both of them in the beginning, and it turned out to be exactly what each of them needed at that time. William had pretty much lived a life of luxury and taken it all for granted. Life had no meaning for him. Annie helped him to appreciate the people in his life and how he could actually make an impact in the world. And William, in his own quirky way, showed her how to trust him and the people in her life again.
A couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have given a second thought to tearing a place like this down, and that's what we do.
As quirky as this was, it was a beautiful story with wonderful actors who made it fun.
And imagining a life without you in it it really makes me sad.
Well, I think that's enough for one video today. As always, thank you so much for being a part of the Magical Movie Club. I appreciate your being here and look forward to the next video where we'll continue counting down our favorite Hallmark Christmas movies.
Wow. That was a lot of work.